Welcome in, Canvas community. I'm your host, Jeremy Sinks. I teach at Crater High Biz in Central Point. And today's tutorial is going to run through how to look at your course's analytics, the new analytics button or feature in Canvas. So you can look at student engagement, missing assignments, and other points of data to kind of see where you might need to address some problem areas in your course. So right now I'm in one of my courses. This is a course I team teach with Mr. Rogan called CSB. Give a shout out to Mike Rogan out there. So I'm in my homepage, and you'll notice that on the right hand side you have a series of buttons, and the one I'm after is the button for New Analytics. So I'm going to click on this and show you a few features about what you can see, what kinds of data you can see in your course about students in the New Analytics feature. So you're going to come to a menu of options here, and you're going to see at the top you have average course grade. And right now we're just in a couple of weeks of school, so everyone's doing really well. But at the top here, underneath that, we have a menu item for course grade. We have weekly online activity, students, and a new one called reports. So I'm going to show you a couple other features about this too, which I think are really neat. So right now it's targeting all sections. What that basically means is it's all sections underneath that course. This course is just its own section, so it's going to target all of the kids and students and assignments in this course. You can click on the little drop-down menu, and we can select individual students out of this, and I'll show you what that looks like in here in just a second. You can, over here to the right, you have a message button, and you can stipulate message students who, and you can target a score range, and you would enter in a subject and a message here. If students are missing, you can just target those students, and then late assignments as well. I think this is a pretty cool feature, and is really handy for like if you need to get the message out to those students, rather than sifting through your gradebook and looking for those types of students. So this is a really great and handy feature to have. Next of this, you have a button that says download CSV. Basically, this is the report. You can download this as a Excel file. To the right of this, you have a little menu option, the three dots. Whenever you see the three dots, that's pretty universal there's some options here for you to click under. So when you click on that, you're going to see just two. You're going to see data table and display shapes. So under data table, when you switch that, it's actually going to change it to a different type of table. So it's more of a kind of like a spreadsheet looking option. And breaks it down just slightly different. You can see the names of assignments on the left-hand corner here, and then due dates in the middle. I think it's useful to look at some of these different options. This option for table or graph is present for all of these sections: weekly, online activity, and students. So for some things, it's actually easier to read, or might be more useful to read in one of these different views. I'm going to go back to the graph down here at the bottom. For the graph, when you hover over these little icons, these icons represent assignments and discussions or quizzes with a little rocket ship. And when you hover over that, it'll tell you what that assignment is. So you can also enable display shapes, and I'm not sure what that actually does at the moment. Maybe it's a feature that doesn't actually work, but there it is nonetheless. When you hover over these little dots, it'll show you the name of the assignment, and where kind of give you a little bit more data point. It kind of just highlights it in the graph. One of the things that I think is really useful is the weekly online activity tab. This will show you all of your, in terms of all of the views, the page views and things like that of students, in your class. So as you kind of roll down, you'll see that these links and these images and things will tell you page views, okay? And participations. It says right up here at the top where you hover over it, it says count of times students have contributed to a specific page. So that's likely like an assignment if they've been working in an assignment, and probably like submitted something for discussions. Like this one we have down here, we have a discussion piece. That's going to be every time they the number of times kids reply to another student and the times that they post. So this is likely the 16 kids have submitted this assignment out of 22 is kind of the way that looks on this essay down here. You can also target a specific student, and this will be blurred out for you to protect the student's privacy. But when you click down underneath this, you can select a student, and it'll compare that student to the rest of the class, and it'll put the student in a different color and show kind of that different level there. So this student is participating, had more page views, slightly more page views than the rest of the class on the 13th of September, slightly less on the 6th of September. So you can just do some of those comparison pieces of students. You can also switch this to the other view as well, the table view, but I feel like the graph view is a little bit more, like with this type of data, looks better or is easier to read in this type of format. Then you can also switch over to the Students tab and select specific students from the left-hand side in the column there. But then you can also see their grade, the percentage of time that they've turned in assignments, their last participation, meaning like the last time they submitted an assignment or a discussion piece. That's different than their last page view, okay? Because they might, look at something in your course, but not necessarily submit something. So you can tell here that there was just a little bit. There's a little bit of a gap with this student between their last page view and the last time they turned in an assignment. You can also look at their number of page views. This is kind of an interesting look here. You can tell like who spends a little bit more time on Canvas. And like kind of where, and that, page views is an indication of like how much time they are spending on it. When you're looking at this data, you might look at the corresponding to participations. So participations means, the things that they've turned in or submitted, versus their page views. So like this student down here, you might ask, okay, there's a lot of page views here, 336 page views, but there's only one participation. There's only one thing that's been submitted. What's kind of going on there? Is this student struggling with the content, or is this like more of they're having issues with, like the assignments, submitting assignments or something like that? It's obvious that they're engaged because the last page view was yesterday or 2 days ago, and the last participation was on that same day. So there is some engagement there, and you look at the grade and on time, and I know this is only the second week, so maybe this is not totally reflective of what's going on, but it does give you some insight as to, like what the student is or isn't doing. You can click on the link here to kind of go into more data, or an individual view. You can see it in the graph view. You have the option of changing that back to the table data, which for assignments is probably the better view to look at. So you get the status over here in the grade and the submitted and the due date. So this is probably the better view to view this kind of thing in. You can also look at the individual online activity and then communication with this student in that. So there's a lot of things here for you to kind of look through to kind of make some assessments on what the student's level of engagement is and where they might be struggling. Of course, going into the gradebook and stuff is another way. Also, the last section here is the new one, or reports. So this is going to be handy for many people. Although I do think the ability to create a message to students with with certain like whether they have missing assignments or late assignments is also equally powerful. These reports will download as a CSV file, so like an Excel file, and it's just kind of a nice, handy way to look at missing assignments, late assignments, excused assignments, even a class roster, and course activity. This course activity is that when you run the data, run the report here, it's not as like reader friendly. So if you're really interested in, to me, in my opinion anyway, course activity is I think a lot easier to view in the analytics piece up in here. So I mean, just for example, I'll run this report for you, and you can put in some filters and things which would help, but I'm not going to run the filter. I'll just run the report. And so you can see there's 3,000 results here. It's gonna want to download that to your Chrome browser. Just going to open that up. It'll open it up in a CSV file. For me, it's opening up in Numbers on my Mac. And so you're just going to see a lot of data here, and it's really a lot to kind of unpack and go through. So it's just kind of all the raw data if you're really wanting to kind of get into that kind of thing. So that's why I tend to think that the best part for course activity, the best way to look at your course activity is through these analytics pieces that is in Canvas. So I hope that gives you kind of some insight as to how to look at data in your course. I want to throw this out there. If you have anything that you're like having problems with in Canvas, you would like to see a video on a particular feature or how to do something in Canvas, please shoot me an email. It's at the end of this video. You can see it at the end. It'll pop up on the screen on the outro. But send me an email on features that or things or how to do something in Canvas that you've been wondering about, or that you've had some problems with or challenges with, and I'll see what I can do to put together a video for you, because chances are maybe someone else is also having that same question or having that same problem that they'd love the answer to. That's what this is all about, keeping up a great Canvas community. So thanks for watching, and like and subscribe for me at the end if you haven't already. Thank you, and take care.